until we get our finances together. Maybe down the road when the WLC brings in the $3 billion annually and all this other stuff it's supposed to do, maybe. But right now, it's a pipe dream to think about if we're going to start up. To start up a police department costs thousands of, if not millions of dollars.
Mr. Baca?
At this point, I don't think our city is capable of forming a functioning police department that would benefit the citizenry as it does currently. But I do believe we need a lot of reform. I think if we do have a sheriff contract, it should be the sheriff contract only. Our city is paying a lot of extra money on add-ons. We also have the Cal cards, which, you know, a lot of city employees and so forth, police department are using. You know, that's not part of the contract. So why do we have a contract, but yet we have all these other costs affiliated with it? I think if we want a fair contract with our city, it needs to be, you know, what it says it is, not all these other phantom charges that are being incurred to our city.
Mrs. Jempson?
Yes, actually, I'm impatiently waiting for the results of the feasibility study that is being done on 9 different cities that are checking to see if it actually is feasible for any of us to have our own police department. I don't anticipate it is. I don't anticipate that we have the ability to fund our own police department at this time. Do I like the increases that are being incurred by the sheriff's department? Absolutely not. And I think there's a lot of attention being placed on the sheriff's department, which actually is starting to tighten up in some areas. We definitely need to add to public safety. Public safety subcommittee by Councilmember Price and I, we are the council liaisons, and we're staying on top of this. And we have direct contact with the police, and we just discuss all of this as far as staffing levels and the levels of service that they're required to provide. And so we will share the information with you as soon as we receive it.
So then are you saying that there has been no progress on increasing public safety here in Moreno Valley?
Unfortunately, I'm actually embarrassed to say we've only had 1 position at this time because, of course, of the budget, the way it is. We hope to change that. I wish there was a pot of money somewhere that we could actually help to support. I don't want to put out there any false promises, but the TOT tax that's going onto the ballot in November, it's not specifically designated for public safety. But as long as I'm in my city council position, infrastructure and public safety are predominantly my main areas that I would like to see that money go to.
Mr. Saadiq, your initiatives for increasing public safety?
My initiative, increasing public safety. Well, like I said, I'm not privy to the information that Ms. Jempson has on a regular citizen, like most people out there. You have to look at the city budget. I would have to literally look at the city budget, look at the ledger, and see where we're at. I can't really give a scientific answer. I would like to throw something out and wave a magic wand, but I can't do that because I don't have that kind of information. But knowing that we need to increase our city budget, without safety and a police department, you don't have a city. And Dave Marquez said that in the last forum, by the way, the one because I did. But without having that information in front of me, I couldn't tell you what we would need to do to make that initiative happen.
Mr. Baca?
Well, I really appreciate our sheriff's department, the level of service we're receiving right now, and I hope it's not because the contract is in review and we're in the middle of elections. I see a lot of activity, I see a lot of, but at the same time, our crime level has skyrocketed. So I'm concerned with that. The question was, how would we fund?
How would your initiatives for increasing public safety?
I'm not too sure if the joint powers issue would work out. I just think we should, continue looking into our contract and making sure that it's fair, and making sure that our city budget is, it's just too much going to specifically to public safety. I think we should, look at and see where all the money is going and, you know, maybe, I wouldn't mind increasing it, but as long as it's fair and it's in the contract.
So we appear to be severely hamstrung by the city budget. So what are your ideas for generating additional revenue in Moreno Valley other than warehouses? Ms. Jempson?
Well, that's always been a question that's been posed to all candidates as long as I can remember. And the problem is, let's not forget that whatever we do in our city, it requires a majority vote, whatever the situation is. That's an answer that I don't have. I will say that some of the highest revenue coming into our city is property taxes, of which, let me clarify, goes to the state and the city gets 1% back. So when we say that we're paying all these property taxes, yes, we are. And if we look at the pie chart of where the property taxes go, 1% is returned to our community. So I think it's important to keep that in hand. Businesses, of course, we need more businesses. We need small businesses, we need large businesses. I wish it wasn't warehouses. But the actual commercial, industrial is what brings revenue into our community, whether we like it or not.
Thank you, Mrs. Jempson. Mr. Saadiq?
Well, I've already basically stated, can't have warehouses without the truck infrastructure. We're working on a plan right now to where the truck infrastructure will bring additional 2,000 to 5,000 jobs into Moreno Valley. It's obvious the warehouses is not bringing us the revenue that we need to repair our roads, because there's always a budget shortfall. If we invest and start getting some entrepreneurs to start building this truck infrastructure, that is going to help our revenue and put more money in the city. Number two is to have a nice relationship with the March Air Reserve Base, so that if we keep encroaching on those guys, they're going to pull out of it. And that's a real possibility, and I've talked to General Muncie about it. Back in the day when the base was active, you're talking about 5,000 military personnel with $50 million pumped into the community back in the 90s. That's when it was the good old days. There was plenty of money. But now, we're dealing with another situation where we're building things that are encroaching on that area, and we're not supporting that base. So we got to keep that military. They are still the biggest employer in this region, and we got to keep those guys here. Because if we don't, that is another shortfall in our budget. But that truck infrastructure is one way to increase revenue and help the WLC grow and be successful.
Thank you. Mr. Saadiq? If elected to city council, what is your position on DUI checkpoints, and would you be willing to support bringing DUI checkpoints back?
Well, the DUI checkpoints are given to our police department by grants, state grants and federal grants. And I'm all for DUI checkpoints for the simple fact that, you know, I have friends that have lost loved ones and have named loved ones because of a drunk driver. I don't think what they're doing is anything that is out of the ordinary, but we do need DUI checkpoints because we do have, you know, people that drive unsafe and they might drink a little bit too much, and you know, and it's just good policy to keep everybody honest. I am for DUI checkpoints.
Mr. Baca?
Well, when we initially opposed the DUI checkpoints, there was a lot of misdoings by agencies that were involved. We actually had immigration buses way back in 2006, I believe, to 2008. You know, we have all these different agencies, and they didn't do things properly. They didn't have Spanish-speaking people. We know the majority of our citizenry is Spanish-speaking, and they were targeting a certain, you know, class of people for a certain reason. All those issues have been addressed, and we now have driver's license for people that are in the process of being documented, and also they're also allowing the owner or a person with a license that resides in that house to come pick up that vehicle, rather than having it removed and impacting families, such as working families and children. So at this point, most of the issues that I was opposed to on checkpoints have been addressed. So I would say, you know, if the grant money is there, it's from the state, I'm for it.
Thank you. Ms. Jempson?
Absolutely. I've always been in support of the sobriety checkpoints. What I've tried to do in every capacity, whether it was the police department, whether it was the code compliance, I've done drive-alongs with them. The sobriety checkpoint, I actually toughed it out from the time they got there till 3 o'clock in the morning when we left. I monitored everything that was going on. I think there's a great advantage to sobriety checkpoints. I don't know if anyone is checking the newspaper or social media, but drunk drivers continue to drive in our community. And if a sobriety checkpoint saves one life, it's worth the time and the effort. And we must keep sobriety checkpoints in place. They save lives.
What is your position regarding, what is your position in regards to holding vacant landowners responsible for keeping their property clean? Additionally, dumping in the Edgemont area has been a hotbed topic. Ms. Jempson, what's your position on these issues?
Okay, I definitely am in support of holding the landowners responsible. Let me explain, though, how co-compliance works. Unless someone, and I'd like for it to be different, but this is reality. Unless someone picks up the phone and says, this place is a mess, we need for you to come out, take a look at it, and hold the owner responsible, otherwise it's not gonna happen. We wish that we had staff that all they did was drive around and make notes of what occurs, but it doesn't happen. That's why I've been an active city council member in this district doing just that. There's a city app that I use religiously. There's contact that I made to code compliance. When we open up a CRM, it holds everyone accountable. So the CRM requires the entities that have something to do with that request to respond and to fix the problem. So they're now accountable to the city council. So yes, absolutely. Have I reported every vacant land owner to code compliance? I have not, but it's a community effort. We all need to do this.
Mr. Saadiq?
Well, like Ms. Jempson said, when she first took office, we both sat down and I said, these are some of the problems that we're having in Edgemont. And she and I have both been working on some of the slumlords in a place called The Shoe. We've done that, but going there one time and then letting the slumlords do whatever they want to do, it takes a constant basis to do that. And I've asked Ms. Jempson to come out and, and we worked on that and it worked out really fine the first time. But like she said, it's going to take a community effort and it isn't going to happen just yet tomorrow. It's got to be, everybody's got to be on board and continually. There's a lady in this neighborhood that had a hole in her roof. I do not understand code compliance. This lady had a hole in her roof with water. Some of you guys saw the video on my show. Why code compliance is not following that up, where these slumlords are just patching it? There could be black mold in there and anything like that. And I've gone to the city, I tried to meet with the mayor, but we've got council members that when it's election time, they're on everything. But after the election, it's back to normal.
Mr. Baca?
Well, I think our council needs to stand up and create some stricter guidelines and regulations for the vacant lots in our city. We've got quite a bit. I believe they should be fenced in. They should be made look attractive. We drive through some of our streets and it's just, we have this patchwork of empty lots that are not being upkept. Yes, they do go in there and what is it called?
Listing?
Yeah, so we need to make sure that the landowners clean up their yards, their property, and make sure that there isn't any squatters and, homeless people there, and they should be fined if they don't. And we can hire another code compliance person to specifically target that, and it would be paid for by those funds.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jempson, do you have any closing remarks?
Could I address something that Mr. Saadiq stated that actually had my name in it? All right, thank you. Mr. Saadiq and I used to meet almost monthly, and he would present ideas to me. And those ideas I would go ahead and put in place if they were good ideas. What are the ideas about going to the shoe? I took the police department with me, I took the city manager, I took code compliance. We walked that area. That area has not been forgotten. There were 32 cases that were opened up, of which 22 have been resolved and 10 are left to resolve. It has not been forgotten. I work continuously with code compliance. Matter of fact, there were pictures posted on Facebook as to, he was identifying an issue in the Edgemont area, and someone said, it looks pretty darn clean to me. So the thing is, it is happening. I'm not reporting back to Mr. Saadiq, but it's happening, and I'm actually reporting it to the rest of the community on my Facebook page. So we have not forgotten this area. We haven't forgotten Edgemont, we haven't forgotten the shoe. It's happening,
Thank you,
and
Ms.
code
Saadiq.
compliance
Thank you.
is dealing with it.
Mr. Saadiq?
Once again, you're hearing from Ms. Jempson about what she's gonna do. I worked with this lady for 2 years, and when she got on that dais, she had no clue of what was happening, which is why I was working with her. So my thing is this, if you don't know what's going on, why are you even up there? What is your plan? And this is why we're having this debate here. This is District 1, this is the most neglected area. You gotta know what is happening here. We're giving these councilmen $600 stipends to drive around in their district, and a lady had a hole in her roof. How come Ms. Jempson didn't know about that? If you look at some of these homes over here, the roofs need to be totally torn down. But yet, she's gonna sit there and say, she did, she did, she did. She did because I told her what to do.
Thank you. Mrs. Jempson, your closing remarks.
Yes, so we're done with that? Just want some clarification. So, as your current city council member, and hope to be continuing city council member, I am going to, if any of you have my materials, first of all, being accessible and visible to the community is my #1 priority, because that's how I meet all of you, and we talk and we identify what needs to be done. Have I run a perfect 2 years? Of course not. Do I have all the answers? Of course not. We as council members depend on our city staff to assist us. But what I have done is every resident who's come to me and spoken to me, they've gotten an immediate response, and they've gotten a response that either I can do something or I can't do something, and if I can do something, it happens. I will continue to be that servant of all of you. That's what a political figure should be, a servant to you. And one thing I want to stress is the ideas come from all of you. You live in this community. You need to tell us as council members, what is the issue, what is the problem? We don't always see it. We can't always see the holes in the roofs. We can't always see the vacant lands. We have vacant land that have fences, and they're still a mess. So we need to work together. We are not in charge telling you what to do. You're right. You need to tell us what to do.
Thank you, Ms.
Because that's what makes the
Thank you.
community.
Mr.
Thank you.
Saadiq?
I'm running because I have ideas of what needs to be done in my district. I don't know anybody who runs and doesn't know what to do. A leader has a vision and he brings people along with them. Now, yes, there might be certain little things that I don't know, like, oh, well, a guy came to me a while back and said, hey, my light on my street is out. You're the guy that gets things done around here, right? I said, yeah, got it done. No problem. Something very simple. But all in all, the problems here in this district, I already know what they are because I live here. Now, in this neighborhood, you guys drove in here. There's a significant difference between this neighborhood and the rest of the city. And I don't know anybody who runs for office and doesn't have a clue about what to do. I don't necessarily need you guys to tell me what is obvious that we can already see just by being in this neighborhood. Which is why I brought you guys here to have this debate. Ms. Jempson didn't want to have a debate here. No candidate wanted to have a debate here, in this area. And this is why we're here. And this is why I'm running, to make a change.
Thank you. Mr. Baca, your closing argument.
I think the major issues in our city are our city staff. We don't have, we are a staff-run city. We need a charter. We need to take control. The people need to take control of our city. There's a lot of misdoings in City Hall that people are unaware of. For one, a small example, when we had the floodings, I called engineering, Ahmad, and let him know, informed him about the flooding on David Lane. And his answer was, have them call their insurance company. You know, that's continuous with staff. You know, they wipe their hands clean, they have extremely high salaries, and they contract out for everything else. You know, that's where all our money is going. Also, we have special interest. Why the special interest? We need to address that issue. That is our biggest issue in our city, is the special interest. You know, the special interests at this point are on panic mode. You know, they're instigating violence, they're instigating lies and so forth. So we need to understand when people start making accusations of breaking into houses and stealing things and so forth, you know, where's the basis to that? You know, it's all trying to slander the person and make them look wrong because they don't want that person's voice to be heard. So we need to understand that, and we need to address that. There is lots of special interest, and it's wrong for our city, and, you know, that's what I'm running for. I see a lot of misdoings, and I won't stand for it, and that's why I'm standing up to the plate and bringing this out. So I hope you consider voting for me, and then your friends and family, asking them to vote for Chris Baca, because he's the right candidate for the city to move it forward in a positive way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the District 1 debate. We're going to take a short 5-minute intermission.